Speaking of the LSU Tigers, let's make them the subject of item number 1 on our AT&T SEC Country Live First and 10 list. And
you are already getting it in the comment section, BA. Already getting it about those Auburn Tigers, so I can't wait to get on to
yeah,
this.
so listen, I know I'm going to take a bunch of grief for that. So we'll let you give me everything you want to give me for what I've said about Auburn. We'll do all of that and talk about this. But let's at least give LSU a little bit of credit before y'all start beating up on me for picking Auburn. Auburn does have the 20-0 lead on Saturday, and it ends up being the big win for LSU. And I guess now maybe a chance to rethink Ed Orgeron a little bit?
I think so. I think you obviously had to give him a ton of credit for what they were able to pull off in back-to-back weekends, knocking off Florida and Auburn. And I think you have to point to Ed Orgeron. But really, for me, this was about Danny Etling, and this was about Matt Cannon and this offense seemingly finally coming together. We've had a ton of questions. I don't know whether to give more credit to LSU or kind of rag on Auburn. I think they both split sides in terms of the way you saw this game. But Ed Orgeron deserves credit in these circumstances. Obviously, he's kind of had a turnaround there at LSU, and I think he's feeling a lot better, and those fans are feeling a lot better.
Yeah, for me, obviously the criticism of Auburn's coming throughout the show, but the thing that you say about LSU off the top here, the thing that you got to give them credit for, is the fact that in the second half of this game, this looked like LSU on brand. The reputation that's developed over so many years about being able to kind of go out there and really shut teams down defensively, this team was able to do that again on Saturday. They look like the LSU teams in the past. And that's the thing, if you're a Tigers fan, an LSU Tigers fan, you're most comforted by is this LSU team felt like LSU again, really just stifling defense against Auburn in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about the downfield game, and I have a lot of questions about the play calling, and we'll get into that as the show goes on. I didn't like the way Jared Stidham attacked this defense. I didn't like the way that Chip Lindsey had his play calling. I felt like there was a lack of intermediate routes. We kind of went back to the Auburn offense that we saw against Clemson earlier in the year. LSU's defensive pass rush was able to create a lot of havoc for Jared Stidham, and they didn't really have any answers on the offensive side of the ball. And in turn, Danny Etling, good. I mean, he was not a game manager. He was a guy that went out there and won this football game for LSU.
All right, let me see if I can get a bunch of these comments in. Esteban Estevez says, "Hey, BA, you still riding high on Auburn? Ha, 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 ha." And he gives us a Go Tigers spelled G-E-A-U-X. Listen, if you're an LSU fan, you've got every right to mock me for that today. If you're an Alabama fan, I've been all over Auburn in comparison to Alabama, thinking Auburn was going to win the SEC West. I'm still not quite done with Auburn yet as a formidable team, but clearly after a second regular season loss in a game I didn't think they'd lose to LSU, pretty clearly Auburn is not as good right now as I thought they would be before the start of the season, so you've got every right to kind of criticize me for that. No question.
Listen, and I'm sad about myself because I backed off. The thing I'd been talking about all offseason was that Gus Malzahn's good for a couple of these losses every year. I mean, and I picked Clemson, LSU, Alabama, and Georgia to beat Auburn this year, and I backed off of it last week. You had me believing, BA. You backed me off of my prediction that I had all offseason, and I went ahead and gave this win to Auburn last week on the show. And credit to, like I said, credit to Ed Orgeron, credit to Danny Etling, credit to LSU for being able to turn things around. And early on in the game, it didn't look like they'd be able to. 20-0, Auburn was up there early on in the second quarter. I saw a stat today dating back to 2014. Top 10 teams were 182-0. When they were up by 20 points.
And
this
crazy.
was the first
against unranked teams. That's
number 183. And so I think that's really, that's the talking point when we talk about this game. It's not only LSU's ability to come back, it's the collapse of this Auburn offense.